Hi everybody, let's make some cute little googly fingered puppet-eyed bats. So to make these cute little things, I am using just some worsted weight acrylic yarn, a size 4.00 millimeter crochet hook, and some finger puppet googly eyes, and a stitch marker. And of course, if you want to use a bigger hook, it's just going to make your bat a little bit bigger, or if you use a smaller hook, it's just going to make your bat a little smaller. And depending on the weight of your yarn, it's just going to make your bat bigger or smaller. I'm using a medium weight, which is acrylic worsted weight, and it's a size 4 medium weight. And to begin, we want to start with a slip knot. So however you like to do your slip knot, this is how I like to do mine. And I like to start with an I cord with a chain of 6 I cord. This way I don't have to weave in the tail end, but a lot of times people are not comfortable doing an I cord. So if you're not comfortable doing an I cord, you can just chain 6 and then join to the first chain to create a ring. Otherwise, you can follow me with the I cord. So to do the I cord, we're going to take our tail and bring that tail up over your crochet hook. Now you have 2 loops over your crochet hook, and now you're going to take your yarn and yarn over your hook and bring it through those 2 loops. And that's 1 chain. And we're going to do that again. So take that tail, bring it up over your crochet hook. You have 2 loops on your crochet hook, yarn over, bring that yarn over and through those 2 loops. That's 2. And again, bring up that tail over your hook. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through both of those loops. That's 3. And again, bring up that tail over your hook. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through both of those. You have 4 now. And again, this will be number 5. And one more time. And this is number 6. So I did 6 of those, and now I'm going to pull up that loop on my hook. That way I don't lose that last stitch I just did. Taking my hook out, and you can see the top there, the number of stitches that we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is right here. I'm going to insert my crochet hook into that first one that we did, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab that loop that I took off of my hook and pull that working yarn so the loop is smaller. And then I'm going to pull that loop through that first stitch that we did, and that creates that ring for me. And now we're going to be working in that ring. And if you did a chain of 6, that's fine. Just make sure and join to the first chain to create this ring. And now we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. That chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch. It is just there to help with this design. And now what we want to do is work 5 double crochets in that ring. So yarn over, insert your hook in the center of the ring, yarn over, bring that yarn through the center and up. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, go through the last 2 loops. That's your first double crochet. And you want to do 4 more in the same center of that ring. So this is 2. You can cut your tail now if you did the I cord, or if you like to work over it just for more security, you can do that as well. This is 3. This is number 4. And this is number 5. So after you have your 5 double crochets, and that's not counting that chain 2, you're going to take your googly eyes with your eyes facing you, looking up. You're going to place them on top so the 5 double crochets are behind those eyes. And now what we want to do is we're going to work 11 double crochets, and what we're going to do is we're going to be working them on top of the googly eyes, but also in the center of the ring of the googly eyes and the center of our crocheted ring at the same time. So yarn over, insert your hook into the ring of the googly eye and also into the crocheted ring, just like this. Yarn over, bring that yarn through and up, and you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and complete your double crochet, and you want to do a total of 11. So that's 1, and you see I just did it under the googly eye ring and the crochet ring, and we're going to do 11. So this is 2, if you have to slide it over, just grab those and slide them over. This is number 3, and it can be awkward, especially if you're not used to doing the googly eyes like this, but that's okay, you'll get it. That's 3. This is going to be 4. We'll do one close up together, and then I'll pause this and you guys can finish your 11, and then I'll meet you back. But real quick, we'll do a nice close up. So yarn over, insert your hook under the ring, through the ring, and through the crocheted one. Just like that. Yarn over, bring that through both of those rings and up, and complete your double crochet. Just like that. Okay, and go ahead and continue and work your 11 double crochets around the ring and the crochet ring, and I'll see you back when you're done with that. I just completed my 11 double crochets in the front of my eyes here, and now what we want to do is join with a slip stitch to that first double crochet that we did, which is behind the eyes. So we're skipping over that chain 2 that we did, and all we want to do is find that first double crochet that we did, and we're going to join, whoops, with a slip stitch to the first double crochet that we did. So right here. And now we're going to chain 1, and what we're going to do now is work 5 spike stitches behind the eyes, and then we're going to work 11 spike stitches in front of the eyes. And to do a spike stitch, we're going to do it like this. So you chain 1, you're going to insert your hook over those double crochets, so we're working over the double crochets, so we're inserting it in the center of that ring again, our crochet hook, and coming out there in the back, we're going to yarn over, grab that yarn, and bring it all the way through and up to the current height of the row that we're working, and then we're going to yarn over and bring that through. Just like a single crochet, it's just like a long single crochet. It's a spike stitch. This is called a spike stitch. You usually make it on a row 1 or 2 or 3 below. And again, so that's 1. We're going to do that again. So insert your hook in the center of that ring again. Yarn over. Bring that yarn through and all the way up to the current height of the row that you're on. Yarn over and complete that single crochet. So it's just a single crochet, but you're just inserting your hook in a different spot. So take that stitch marker and mark your first stitch that you did. That's going to help you because sometimes it's hard to see that first stitch depending on what color yarn you're using. And I'm using white because it's going to help you see this versus using the black for the bat. So that's 2, and we want to do 5 spike stitches behind our little googly eyes. So again, insert your hook into the center of that ring, yarn over, bring that yarn all the way through and back up, and then complete that single crochet. That's 3. And again, insert your hook in the center of that ring, yarn over, bring it all the way through and up to the current height, yarn over and go through both loops. That's 4. And again, in the center of that ring, insert your hook, yarn over, bring that yarn all the way through and up to the current height, yarn over and go through both loops. And that's 5. This just makes it a nice fuller body for the little bat. So we just did our 5 spike stitches behind our eyes. Now we want to work in front of our eyes. So now we're going to do 11 spike stitches here. So again, insert your hook in the center, yarn over, bring that yarn all the way through and up, yarn over, go through both loops. That's 1. And again, yarn over, bring that through and up, yarn over, go through both loops. That's 2. And again, this is 3. And continue to do this until you have 11. And I will see you guys back over here when you get your 11th one. I've just finished my 11th bottom spike stitch. So you should have a total of 16 stitches all the way around. And now what we want to do is join with a slip stitch to that first stitch that we did. So you can remove your stitch marker if you used one. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that and join. With the slip stitch. And now what I want to do is replace my stitch marker to that last stitch that I did. So this right here is our slip stitch that we just did, and this is our last spike stitch that we did. So I'm going to replace my stitch marker into the last stitch that we did. So right there is where I'm going to put my stitch marker. And now we're going to do our first ear of our bat. So we're going to go ahead and chain 3. So you're going to do 1, 2, and 3. And now what we want to do is work a single crochet into that second chain from our hook. So remember, the loop on your hook does not count as a stitch or a chain. This is your first chain, this is your second chain. So we're going to insert our hook into that second chain. And then you're going to work a single crochet. In the next chain, we're going to work a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook into that second chain, which will be your third one really from the hook. And then work that half double crochet. And now we're going to work our slip stitch back into the same slip stitch that we just worked out of. So into the same stitch that we worked out of. You're going to insert your hook and you're going to do a slip stitch. So we worked into one stitch. So all we did was we joined with a slip stitch and we did a chain of 3, and then we worked a single crochet into the second chain from our hook, and then we worked a half double crochet into the next one, and then we worked a slip stitch all into the same stitch on the body. Now we're going to work a slip stitch into the next 4 stitches. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, and here's number 4. And now we're going to do our ear again. So we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And again, we're going to work a single crochet into that second chain from our hook. Remember, this does not count as a chain. This is our first chain. This is our second. Insert your hook into that second chain and work your single crochet. And now you're going to work a half double crochet into the next chain. And now you're going to slip stitch into the same stitch on the body that you worked out of. Just like that. Perfect. And now we're going to work a slip stitch into the next stitch. And you have your 2 little ears for your bat. Should be all done. And now we're going to work a slip stitch into the next stitch. And now we're going to work our first wing. So this is where it gets a little tricky, so we're going to do this together. We're going to work chainless single crochets, and it's actually not that bad. We're going to chain 1, and now we're going to insert our crochet hook into that bottom of the chain 1 that we just did, and we're going to work a chainless single crochet. So we're going to yarn over, bring that yarn through and up, and then we're going to yarn over again and go through that first loop, yarn over again, and go through the last 2 loops. And that's our first chainless single crochet. And we want to do another chainless single crochet. So we're going to insert our hook at the bottom of that single crochet that we did, and we're going to go underneath both of those loops. So you'll have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, bring that yarn underneath both of those first 2 loops. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through just the first loop. You still have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through both of those 2 loops now. So you just did 2 single crochets, chainless single crochets. And now we want to do a picot stitch, which is a chain of 2. So you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And then you're going to insert your crochet hook into that second chain from your hook and do a slip stitch. So remember the loop on your hook does not count as a chain. This is your first chain, this is your second chain. Insert your hook into that second chain, yarn over, bring it through that chain and through the chain on your hook. And now we want to make 2 more chainless single crochets. So go back to the last single crochet that you did, to the bottom of it, insert your hook underneath the 2 bottom loops, yarn over, bring that yarn through and up, yarn over, go through the first loop. You still have 2 loops, yarn over, go through those 2 loops. That's 1. You want to do 1 more, so insert your hook underneath the bottom 2 loops again, yarn over, bring that yarn through and up. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through the first loop, yarn over and go through both loops. You just did 2 more, and now we're going to do another picot stitch. So you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, insert your hook into that second chain from your hook again. So there's your first, there's your second. Insert your hook into that second chain and work your slip stitch. And then again, we're going to work 2 more chainless single crochets. So go back to the bottom of that last single crochet, insert your hook underneath both of those loops, yarn over, bring that through and up, yarn over again, go through the first loop only, yarn over again, and go through both of those loops. And that's your first one. And again, insert your hook under both loops, yarn over, bring that up, yarn over, go through the first loop, yarn over, go through the last 2. And now you're going to do a picot. So chain 2, 1, 2, and then insert your hook into that second chain from your hook and work your slip stitch. And now we're going to be working on the bottom, going back to the bat body. So now we're going to go ahead and insert our hook right here at the bottom. You can see that little spot. So we just did these 2 single crochets in a picot, so we're just kind of turning our hook over and working a single crochet right at the bottom to kind of turn our bat wing so it'll make a little curve. And we're working a single crochet right there. and then we're going to do another single crochet next to it. So that's 2 single crochets. And now we want to do a picot, so chain 2, 1 and 2, work your slip stitch into that second chain from hook. And now we're going to do 2 more single crochets at the bottom there, 1 and 2, and we're going to do another picot, so chain 2, 1, 2, and work your your slip stitch into that second chain from hook. And then again, do your 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2. And then we're going to slip stitch right to the body where we slip stitched and started. And there's your first bat wing. Super duper cute. And now we're going to work 3 slip stitches. So you're going to slip stitch here, 1, 2, and 3. And then in the next one, you're going to work a slip stitch. And then you're going to chain 1 and 2. And then in the second chain, in the back bump here, so not in the chain in the loop here, you're going to work in the back bump of the second one, you're going to slip stitch. So insert your hook into that back bump and work a slip stitch, just like that. This is the point of our little bat, and then go ahead and slip stitch back into the body of this bat where we slip stitched out of to make that little point of our bat. And now we're going to work our slip stitches up again. So we're going to do 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we want to do 1 more. So this will be 4. And then we want to finish our last little wing. Okay, so I hope I'm explaining the wing okay. So we're going to do the same thing that we did on the other side. So we're going to chain 1, and now we're going to work our chainless single crochet. We want to do 2, so we're going to insert our hook into the bottom of that chain 1, yarn over, bring that yarn through and up, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, and go through both. So that's our first one, and we're going to do that again. So insert your hook underneath that single crochet that you just did. You should have 2 loops now. Yarn over and go underneath both of those loops, yarn over, go through the first loop, yarn over, and go through both loops. So you just completed 2 chainless single crochets. Now we're going to make that picot. So chain 1 and 2. Work your slip stitch into that second chain from hook. Oops. And now we're going to work our 2 chainless single crochets again. So go to the bottom of that last chainless single crochet, insert your hook underneath those 2 loops, yarn over, bring it through and up, yarn over, go through the first loop, yarn over, go through both loops, and again insert your hook underneath both loops, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, go through the first loop, yarn over, go through the 2 loops. So you just did 2. Do your picot again. So 1, 2, insert your hook into that second loop or second chain and work your slip stitch. And again, we're going to do 2 more chainless single crochets. So go back to that one. There's 1, and we got to do 1 more. So your hook, yarn over, bring it through, and again. So this was our second one, and now we got to do another picot. So chain 2, 1, 2, insert your hook into that second chain from hook, and work your slip stitch. And now we're going to work on the bottom, and right there's that little hole at the bottom of the last picot. So we're just going to work our first single crochet right there. And then we're going to work our next single crochet next to it. And now we want to work our picot again. So chain 2, 1, 2, and then slip stitch into that second chain from your hook. And then work your single crochet into the next 2 stitches on the bottom there. And then work your picot again, so chain 2, and then slip stitch into that second chain from hook, and then work your last 2 single crochets. Oops. There's 1, there's 2, and then slip stitch to the same spot that you slip stitched out of, that's in the body, and then slip stitch into the last stitch where your stitch marker is, if you put your stitch marker in there. Pull up your loop on your hook a little bit so you don't lose your stitch, and I like to join from the back, so I'm going to take my hook out, and I'm going to insert my hook into the bottom of my first ear, because that was our first stitch. And then I'm going to grab that loop I took off my hook, and I'm going to pull it to the back, and that's joining from the back, and that kind of gives it like an invisible join. And then I'm going to snap that, or snip it off. Snap, snip, finish, fasten, whatever you want to call it. And then of course weave in my tails. And that is our beautiful little bat with our little point and our ears and our little wings. I hope you guys understood, and I hope you liked it. Thanks, and don't forget to subscribe for further tutorials. Thanks, everybody.